What's good, everyone? It's your boy Natsu with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone, and this is a very, very, very special edition. I'm not going to call it Washington Football Weekly today. I'm going to call it Wizards Basketball Weekly with the play-by-play announcer, the TV play-by-play announcer for our Washington Wizards, Justin Kutcher. Abdullah Ayubi as well, another content creator for the channel, is going to be on this. So I'm going to be interviewing Justin, asking him about our beloved DC basketball team. And so with that being said, Justin, for the people out there who might not be familiar with the work, which might be a small chance, right? Given that you are the TV play-by-play announcer, can you tell people who you are and sort of like how you got to the point of being the play-by-play announcer for the team?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, first of all, guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Secondly, I'm kind of upset with the team attire you've chosen for this interview. I'll try not to hold it against you, but I can't promise. But basically, this is my third season as the television play-by-play announcer for the Washington Wizards on NBC Sports Washington. Prior to coming here to DC, I spent about 9 years with Fox Sports, broadcasting anything from NFL, college basketball, college football, Major League Baseball, World Cup soccer, U.S. Open golf, Westminster Dog Show, all that kind of stuff. Loved every minute of it, and consider myself incredibly lucky. Had the opportunity, was presented with the opportunity of coming to DC to be the voice of the Wizards. And I told my agent I would love it. I have a sister who's here. My parents spent time here in DC back before I was even born. Every time I'd come to do a game at Georgetown or a game for the Nats, I always enjoyed my time in DC. So I said, yeah, let's go for it. And lo and behold, here I am. Year number 3, me and Drew Gooden. I love working with Drew. He's my boy. We've legitimately become really tight. Like it's so much fun going to work. It's not really work, to be honest with you. And we make each other crack up on and off the air. Every time you hear us laugh on the air, it's genuine. We know each other. We love to go out together. I'm in a really good situation, and it even helps now that it's the first place Washington Wizards as of right now.
Yeah. Well, our football team that we're repping right now is in last place. But I did talk to Justin about this before we got on camera, but I had to like put on the Wizards sweatshirt at the last second. I know the attire is not great tonight, but we love our basketball team, our Washington Wizards, who are very much taking over the city right now. I mean, the city's abuzz. I do want to get to what your favorite experience, though, has been since taking over the position from longtime play-by-play broadcaster Steve Buckhantz. Like, what has been your favorite part of this, this experience? You talked about your relationship with your coworker, but like, has there been any particular thing that you could point to and be like, wow, I've loved this moment, or maybe things in the future that you're very much looking forward to?
I would obviously say my relationship with Drew, my relationship, with Karan when he was doing the games, those I cherish, and it's really cool. What I say about my career is I grew up a diehard sports fan, and all these guys that I grew up watching are now my friends, and it's surreal. I mean, whether I'm playing golf with them or going out to dinner with them or just chilling with them. I mean, it's like, wait, this is my life. Are you kidding me? But as far as the job is concerned, what has not necessarily surprised me, because I knew it would happen, but it's more how invested I am. And doing national TV for close to 15 years, you never cared who won or who lost a game. And, every fan base thinks you hate their team and this and that, but we don't. I swear, like, none of us care. We just want to have a good game. That's all we want. If it's a baseball game, you want a compelling game. If it's a football game, you want a well-played game. Basketball, close, all this kind of stuff. But now, I want the Wizards to win. And I've got a lot more gray hair right now than I did 3 years ago before I took this job, because I'm stressing out. I mean, the first 2 years, we're cutting down, we're going down to the wire against teams, and we're coming up short, and I'm taking the losses personally, and it's tough, but that's also what I love about it. I love that last night, for instance, when we come back against Cleveland and Beal hits that three and I yelled yes, like I was yes, and when Kuzma hit the three, I mean, Drew jumped up out of his seat. He threw a punch. He was like, all right. And you don't get that when you're doing a national game. When you're a team broadcaster, you really you feel invested and you want to see these guys all do well, and that to me has been the best part. It's living and dying each and every day with a team. I hadn't been a team broadcaster since I was doing minor league baseball, so it had been a long time, and it's been fun. It's been cool to be walking down the street or at a restaurant and people say JK, and they pick up what Drew calls me. So it's funny. It's humbling. It's an honor. It really is. And I don't take this job lightly. I don't take the responsibility lightly. I like to try to say hello to as many people as I can. And hopefully I'm here for 30 years. That's my goal.
So who or what inspired you to be a play-by-play announcer?
So truthfully, I grew up playing ball my whole life. I played baseball, basketball, soccer. I was a skier. And my goal was to be a professional baseball player. I broke my shoulder. That was gone. And in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete, but I was also the sports editor of the school paper. And I would write a column. The paper came out once a month. And I'd write a column about whatever I felt was pertinent to sports at that time. And I went to college knowing that I wanted to go into broadcasting, but I thought it was going to be at that time like a Bob Costas role, the host of the NBA on NBC. I thought, man, that'd be so cool. Like you're talking basketball with all these, former NBA guys, like that'd be awesome. And so I went to college thinking that's where I would go. And my freshman year in college, I went to go engineer a basketball game on the radio. And the sports director said to me, hey, the analyst didn't show up. Go jump on the tee. You've got to go to the arena and be the analyst. Well, I had thought about walking on to play basketball at BU. So I had just finished playing basketball. So everything was fresh and I was a point guard. So I go and it's Hofstra against BU. Speedy Claxton was the star player for Hofstra, played in the NBA. Now he's the head coach at Hofstra. Jay Wright was the head coach of Hofstra, obviously now at Villanova. And we go to do the game, and it felt like I was playing all over again. I saw all the defenses. I was calling out where our players should be moving to. And from that point forward, I was like, forget about hosting the NBA on NBC. I want to call these games because I missed playing so much that when I was doing play-by-play or I was being an analyst, I felt like I was out there playing, and it gave me that fix. And from that point forward, it was no holds barred. Whatever it took, I was going to do to accomplish my goal. And honestly, guys, I don't know why it happened. I still don't feel like I've made it. I don't know if I ever will feel like I've made it. And I hope that stays that way because it keeps you hungry and humble. And but I if you guys have ever seen Michael Jordan, he had a video come out when he was playing, and I know it's before your time, but I would highly recommend you watch the video, Come Fly With Me. It's awesome. It's about an hour long. In any case, they asked Michael's dad, how do you explain Michael's height? Because nobody in the family was ever above 6 feet. And he said, I think God looked at Michael and said, if I don't make him 6'5" or 6'6" and a basketball player, he's going to starve to death. And I joke around with my family and friends saying, I think God looked at me and said, if I don't make this guy successful as a broadcaster, he's going to starve to death, because there was no other option for me. Yeah. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that I get. And I'm so thankful that it has worked out the way it's worked out.
Well, we appreciate your story, Justin. And we also appreciate you of course, being able to be the play-by-play announcer for our Washington Wizards, and we've loved your work thus far, and we're going to continue rooting for you for years, hopefully years ahead. But I want to get to the Washington Wizards, right? This team that we had, this great team that we had here in DC, and it's kind of funny. You mentioned Michael Jordan. I'm out here in Chicago for school, and this city's abuzz about the Chicago Bulls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being tied with the Washington Wizards for first place in the Eastern Conference right now, as of this moment. But of course, with the Wizards, the first question I want to ask you, because this has been on the top of minds of a lot of people even before this start, but what do you make of those former Laker players that were brought over to DC, right? There's a bunch of talk about how the Wizards were getting, 4 quarters on $1, right? Letting go of Russell Westbrook. What are your thoughts on Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Tavis Caldwell-Pope, their start here in DC? And what do you see from them as the season goes along?
Well, truthfully, when there was the rumor that trade could go down, originally, I believe it was Dennis Schroeder who was going to be involved. And you could ask anybody that I spoke to. I said, I love Russell Westbrook. I love what he did for this team. You have to make this trade. And they said, really? And I said, yes. I go, Russell Westbrook, he's been a superstar. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But what you have is the opportunity to get Kyle Kuzma, who I felt was incredibly skilled, was being underutilized with the Lakers. I thought Montrezl Harrell was coming off a down year with LA, but he had just won the Sixth Man of the Year the prior year with the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as opposed to Dennis Schroeder, and KCP is a 3-and-D guy, which they desperately needed. And now you also factor in the sign and trade deal to get now your point guard in Spencer Dinwiddie. Oh, by the way, you also get Aaron Holiday and you get Isaiah Todd. So you get 6 players for one. So to say you're getting quarters on the dollar, no. The Lakers got the quarters on the dollar. The Lakers got the pennies on the dollar. And I didn't understand what they were thinking. I still don't understand what they were thinking, but I say thank you very much, because these guys have brought a different mentality to this team. Now, what Russell Westbrook did is he provided energy, he provided leadership, and you have that now in Montrezl Harrell. Trez is that guy who has come in right away, has made an impact, and he leads by example. He's the vocal guy. Bradley Beal is not the vocal guy, but Brad is still a leader, but there's a different type of leadership. And now Kyle Kuzma got out from underneath the shadow of LeBron and AD, and he's showing what he can do. And to be honest with you guys, if you looked at his first 2 years in the league, he was the untouchable for the Lakers. He was the guy they would not give up in the trade to get Anthony Davis. They gave up Brandon Ingram and not Kyle Kuzma. Well, Kuzma, he's impressed me. First of all, he's a legit 6'10". He can shoot from outside, as we saw last night, but he can also defend and he can rebound. And what he's doing on that side of the ball has been the most impressive thing to me. So those 3 guys, KCP, I haven't seen hands like his in a long time. His ability to strip the ball is remarkable. And I was actually talking with Drew off the air last night, asking him if it reminded him at all of like Gary Payton, whose nickname was the Glove. Not Gary Payton II, Gary Payton, who made his name with the Supersonics. And he's like, Payton was different. He would just rip the ball away from you, kind of like Kawhi Leonard does. But man, this guy, KCP, he's got this ability to just strip down at the right moment and take the ball away. I've said it before. Tommy Shepard waited a long time to become a GM. Tommy Shepard, if you look at his moves, he has done an amazing job. And if he is not up for Executive of the Year this year, then they have to investigate, because he deserves to be right at the top of the list.
Yeah, I agree, Bill.
I completely agree. But another question we wanted to ask: what's one difference you have noticed between the Scott Brooks Wizards team and the current team led by Wes Unseld Jr.?
I think the glaring thing is obviously defense. And I want to say a couple of things. One, I love Scott Brooks. I'm incredibly fortunate to have had him as my first coach in the NBA. Could not have been nicer to me. Anything I needed, he was there. I would text him, he'd text me back. I'd call him, he'd call me back. And Scott is a great, great guy. The thing that you see right now, and what Drew even told me last year, is it's very difficult once you've established yourself as a certain type of coach with the players to all of a sudden change and say, no, you can't do that. I'm pulling you out. Well, Wes Unseld Jr. comes in virtually with an entirely new team. There are only a few holdovers from last year. And he has set the tone early about defense is going to get you on the floor. And if you don't play defense, you're not playing. And one of the games this week, I loved it. There was a lapse defensively in the first half. They allowed a three-pointer from the corner, and he immediately called timeout. And once he did that, I was like, I love this dude. Yeah. And he doesn't coach to his game plan necessarily. He alters the game plan as the game is going on. And his substitution pattern is not the same every game. He sees what's working and he goes with it. And so I've got to be honest. I mean, I think Wes Unseld Jr. has done an incredible job in his first 11 games as a head coach. He never gets too high, never gets too low. He calls timeouts at the right times. He makes the appropriate substitutions. Every time he's been thrown a curveball, he's been able to hit it, and he's adjusted to it. And that, to me, is a sign of a great coach. And much like Tommy Shepard, waiting his chance to get the opportunity to lead a team as a GM, Wes Unseld Jr. waited his chance, and he waited a long time. And now that he's got it, man, he's making the most of it.
Yeah. And he also got it with a team that is obviously his father played for and was famous for playing for. So that things worked out in the end. But moving off a little bit from the roster and the lineups and just like your experience being a Capital One Arena during this time, I think you've been at the games, you've seen the fans and stuff, but I feel like outside folks have sort of realized that DC deep down is a basketball town, and I feel like it's being revitalized with the winning ways that the Washington Wizards have taken up over the last few games. How amazing has it been to see DC rocking at Capital One for finally a really good NBA team that seems to be stringing together wins nightly?
You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I think it's still a process. I mean, simple things such as look at the hats that you guys are wearing, right? And I'm being serious.
Yeah, the point. No.
So if DC, and I get it, the Wizards have been down for a long time, and one of my pet peeves when I came in is when people say, "Oh, that's so Wizards. That's just what they do," and I say, "No, guys. Like, I wasn't here before. Like." Tommy Shepard's the new GM. It's not, oh, this is how what the team does. We got to change the mindset. And so I believe that we have to change the mindset of how fans look at this team. And the fact that we got off to this start, the fact that we're 8-3, and we've only lost one game at home, you hope that people start coming out. And players have said to me, look, I see more jerseys for the other team than I see for our team. So the players notice it. So and I know, and I've been told by everybody that DC is a basketball town, but it's been down for so long that they're waiting, and they're almost like don't quite trust that they're back, and they're not ready to jump on the bandwagon. I'm telling you right now, jump on the bandwagon. This team is 8-3. They haven't yet found their identity. They're going to be really good. If they average 25 assists a game, They're a top 4 or 5 seed in the East. And you know what? I mean, they play every style of basketball that you need to play, they can do. And so I just think the more people come to the games and see what this team does, then you're going to see this Capital One Arena rocking. And you're going to hear the players being like, man, I didn't realize DC was like that. And when you get everyone on sports talk radio talking about the Wizards, not talking about, other teams, the Wizards lead off the show. That's when you start realizing that things are turning back to the way people say it should be.
The little things, like turning this from Washington Football Week to Wizards Basketball Weekly, just stuff like that. Like, I definitely agree with you. The Hawk TV with our first question from the audience. Do you think the Wizards are a superstar away from winning a championship with how the team is presently constructed? So this is like on the other side of the spectrum, right? You got people who think maybe this could possibly be a championship contending team sooner rather than later. If so, is it possible we could pry Kevin Durant, the hometown kid?
No. KD ain't coming here.
He said he didn't want to come here too.
That ship has sailed, man.
Yeah, just drop it. Don't worry about it. It's done. I would say let me ask you guys a question. Do you consider Chris Middleton a superstar?
Yeah. I consider him a star.
Okay. Do you consider Drew Holiday a superstar?
No.
Okay. They just won the championship. They've got Giannis, who's a superstar, right?
Yep.
I don't think you need 2 superstars to win.
And same situation with the Raptors as well, right? A couple years back, Kawhi was the superstar. Everybody else was a star. Role player.
Kyle Lowry, all-star, not a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Pascal Siakam was a breakout star, not a superstar, but they were a team. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you're seeing right now, I don't think you need to have 2 superstars to win. Not if you're 9-10 deep. Not if you've got length and you've got shooters and you can play defense and you can play different styles of basketball. I don't think you need it. I mean, go back to the Miami Heat in the bubble making their run. You had Jimmy Butler. Is Jimmy Butler a superstar? Probably borderline. Bam Adebayo, up-and-coming stud. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. So no, I think it's a misnomer. I think it's the same reason why people were saying that the Wizards didn't do the right thing by getting rid of Russell Westbrook. Well, it's obvious that they did. And I think you build this team around Bradley Beal. You've got Spencer Dinwiddie, who is a really great complementary piece to Beal in the backcourt. Look at the turnover numbers for Spencer Dinwiddie. They're really, really low. You look at the turnover numbers this year for the Wizards versus last year for the Wizards. I mean, it's been like cut in half. So I just think that people get so caught up in having superstars. I'll be honest with you. When Brooklyn made the trade last year and they got James Harden, I thought it was a bad move. I thought they gave up way too much. I thought getting rid of Jared Allen, getting rid of Karis LeVert, I thought it was going to come back to hurt them. And they were, that much away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they didn't make it. And now you've got Kyrie's situation, and Harden's not playing as well as he was before the rule change. So Kevin Durant, yeah, he's the best player in the NBA. But I'm not saying that Brooklyn's going to win the championship.
Yeah, and I know Abdullah has some great questions lined up, but I do want to. I'm going to ask you a question now. I'm going to push back a little bit on your points that you brought up. So you brought up the Bucks, and you brought up we brought up the Raptors and how they didn't need multiple superstars to win a championship. You also brought up the Heat, Jimmy Butler. They made it to the championship, but see, I think the difference between the Heat and, of course, the Bucks and the Raptors. Bucks and Raptors ultimately won it, right? Because they had bona fide superstars at the top: Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? The Heat, Jimmy Butler. You talk about him. Fringe sort of superstar, right? Like a fringe kind of player. is Bradley Beal enough to take this team to not just play in the championship, but to one day win it, I think is the question here, right? Is he that sort of superstar, that top 5, 6, 7 player that could really carry us to the promised land?
So I think Bradley Beal is a superstar. And I think Bradley Beal has not gotten the recognition that he has deserved because the team hasn't been winning. What you're going to see this year, and I've said it on the air multiple times, is that for this team to reach its potential, Brad has to realize that less is more. And what do I mean by that? I mean that he doesn't have to average 30 or 31 a game. It's better if he averages 25 a game with 7 or 8 assists. And you spread the wealth. You get the ball moving. You have less ISO basketball. If you do that, it becomes a very difficult team to guard. And what you want and what you love is that Beal is a 90% free throw shooter. Spencer Dinwiddie is close to 90% free throw shooting. You have those guys, you have the ball in their hands late in the game. When you have that, that's a good thing.
Bill, do you want to ask the next question? Sorry.
Yeah. So going back to the roster for the Wizards, where do you see Rui Hachimura and Thomas Bryant in the rotation when they come back 100%?
Look, I think Rui is kind of in for a rude awakening, to be perfectly honest. He's started every game of his career. And at this point right now, I think he has to work his way back in and earn that starting position. If he does earn it, I see him and Kuzma being your forwards, and you bring KCP off the bench as a backup to Beal. As far as Thomas Bryant fitting in, look, there's going to be too many players for the team. And that's why I've said I don't believe Tommy Shepard is done with this team. I believe there are moves to be made. The two players that stand out to me are Thomas Bryant and Davis Bertans. And I say that not because I don't like those guys. I love those guys. They've been great to me. But you look at Davis Bertans and everyone says, oh, what's his trade value? Trust me, he's got trade value. He's 6'10", he's a shooter. He's a great shooter. He had a bad year last year. Everyone knows it, but people will pay for shooting. And you might not get what you could have gotten for him 2 years ago. But if you were to package he and Thomas Bryant with an expiring contract, I think you can get, if not a piece for this year, you can get an expiring contract and or a draft pick for the future. But I just don't know how you spread out the minutes. I wouldn't be surprised, Thomas Bryant fitting in, it's difficult. You've got Daniel Gafford, who is a lob threat, is a shot blocker. You've got Trez, who's come in with that energy. He gets to the rim. He gets to the free throw line. It's rare to have a 3-headed center. I just don't know how they do that this year. And people say, well, what about TB? He's coming off an ACL. ACL injuries aren't what they once were. Teams aren't as scared. Heck, we just gave Dinwiddie 3 years and $62 million without him playing. So I don't think people are as scared about the ACL, and Thomas Bryant's making a little bit over $8 million this year. So people might say, you know what? I'm going to take a flyer on this guy. And if he plays well for us, then I'm going to sign him. Again, that's just my own thinking. I have not spoken to anybody about it. That's just my kind of gut take on it.
And we can definitely trade away Bertans, right? Because even though he had a bad year last year, KCP, that was one of the reasons why the Lakers traded him away, because he had an underwhelming last year compared to their championship year the year prior. So I think I agree with you. There's definitely a lot of pieces that can be moved around. But so of course we know you very well from covering our team, right? And doing a great job at it. But some outside folks know you from some talk around this one particular guy in Philadelphia that I don't know if you heard is a little unhappy with the situation that he's at right now, and yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that you were right all along when it came to Ben Simmons, and that all that pushback against you was completely unwarranted. But putting that aside, or maybe if you want to bring that up again, what are your thoughts on the whole Ben Simmons situation up there in Philly? And I mean, you talked about this would come full circle, but you talked about how the Wizards potentially ship off pieces. Is Ben Simmons a possibility? I mean, I think not, because we have two guards.
We all know the answer to that.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
No. I'll say this: when I made the comments about Ben Simmons on the air, it wasn't that I had a beef with Ben Simmons at all. There's no beef. I've never met Ben. I've never spoken to him. It was merely more about the fact that Tobias Harris was not getting the love that I thought that he deserved to get. And I thought Tobias Harris should be an all-star. And the reason why I said what I said is when you looked at last year's team and the all-star team, you knew Philly was going to get 2 players. They weren't getting 3 players on the team. So obviously the first guy to go is Embiid. Well, who's the next guy that you think of when you think of Philly? Ben Simmons, not Tobias Harris. And so it's because of that, because of the marketing and all that kind of stuff, that Tobias Harris got left off. And that's what I was trying to make the point of. I think Ben Simmons is a phenomenal defender. I think Ben Simmons has a skill set at 6'10", 6'11" that very few people in the history of the game have. But not being able to shoot the ball from beyond 6 feet, not being able to make free throws, and only being able to score off of fast break points or bully ball, I just saw that as he was getting a lot of love and Tobias Harris wasn't. Now what's going on in Philadelphia, I feel sorry for Simmons. And that's the truth, is that the reason why I feel sorry for him is because it's a mental thing now. And physical ailments, physical problems can be fixed. Mental issues, when you are reluctant to shoot, when you start doubting yourself, those are very difficult to overcome. And I did not wish for this to happen to him. And I did not wish for this to happen to Philadelphia. But you see how well they're playing without him. And I still think they're a better team. This was a conversation we had 2 years ago in the bubble. And we were on the air. It was me and Glenn Consor, and saying, who would you rather have, Embiid or Simmons? Because I didn't see those 2 pieces fitting. And he said, I'd take Simmons. I go, you take Simmons. I'll take Embiid every single day. Because Joel Embiid is Akeem Olajuwon 2.0, but 3 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier. And he could shoot the ball better from 3-point land. So, the Simmons thing, it blew up. I never intended for it to blow up. You guys can look at my social media following. I don't have a lot of followers, nor do I care.
You should have a lot, though.
Well, honestly, I could care less. And I think the pushback that I got on it, the death threats that I received from it, were ridiculous. And there are certain people out there who made comments that I saved. I never responded, and I won't ever respond publicly. Privately, when I see these people, I'll smile. I'll be like, oh yeah. No, I know who you are. Yeah. But when Ben put out the post of a picture from me from 4 years ago on my Instagram, which, by the way, no
How
joke.
did you get that?
My Instagram is open, so he just went back and looked at it, but he went and did a deep dive into it because he was in COVID protocol.
Yeah.
And when we played the Bucks the next night, and we're about to go on air, and I look and I see this, and And I show it to Drew, and he's like, "Is that Simmons?" I'm like, I don't know. I go, I got to verify it. So I went on Simmons' IG, and it was, and I was like, "No way!" And I wanted to write back, being like, "Thanks, dude. That's like my favorite picture." And honestly, guys, what I hate about it is that I think people feel like I have this issue with Ben, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I wanted to end up having fun with it on social media. Like, thanks, dude. Appreciate you finding my favorite pic. I want to make it my profile picture. Like, I've got no shame. I'll make fun of myself. I'm cool with that. And if and when I get the chance to meet him in person, I will go up to him and I'll say hi. He may punch me, but it's a risk I got to take. I always want to be held accountable, and I'd love to have a conversation with him and just say, like, look, I didn't mean to cause any issues, but I do wish you the best, and I hope you have a tremendous career, and maybe this motivates you to be the player that everybody wants you to be.
Abdul, I know we sort of addressed the Wizards contending for an NBA championship question, but do you want to ask Justin the last question from us, at least?
Yeah. So you talked about the rule change, but what are your thoughts on it, and like just thoughts on the officiating this year?
I'm happy that they made the change as far as players kicking their feet out for threes, or offensive players jumping into a defensive player to draw the foul. That's not basketball. Nobody wants to see a basketball game with 40 free throw attempts. James Harden, great scorer, but James Harden was taking 15, 16, 17 free throws in a game. That's just not basketball. And so I think the NBA making these rule changes are appropriate. And I think eventually you're going to see the players adapt and adjust, and they'll figure out ways to score. But to me, what I've heard from the players, it's not the rules changes that have caused the scoring to go down. Guys aren't comfortable with the actual basketball right now. It's a Wilson ball. They left Spalding. So they're trying to work on that and make sure that's what everybody likes. But ultimately, guys, these are the best players in the world, right? They'll make the change they need. They'll adjust, and everything will be just fine.
I don't know if you see the question here, but do you think the change actually affected things a bit?
I think it has. I don't know if it's a mental thing. Just looking down, everybody who's playing in the league right now grew up with Spalding basketballs, and you've just been so used to when you get that pass and you look down, you see the Spalding. Now it's all of a sudden you see Wilson, you're like, huh? So maybe it's just in their head, like, oh, this ball is different. Look, if you go to college, there's no one universal ball. It's basically, sometimes you play with a Nike ball, sometimes you play with an Under Armour ball, sometimes you play with a Spalding, sometimes you play with a Rock, all these different things. So in college, you make the adjustment. The NBA guys can make the adjustment too.
Okay. Just looking through the questions that have been posted here in the chat, the live chat. Mark Reviews 2.0 says, "What's up, guys? Got a question. On a scale from 1 to 10, what are the chances of the Wizards getting one of the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference this year?"
Guys, here's what I would say. People thought this team was going to be bad. I thought this team was going to be a playoff team. When they made the trade with the Lakers and it was a 5-team deal, I said this is a better team than last year's team on paper. They're deeper. It's a real team. To be a top 4 seed, to go from basically being the 8 seed to a top 4 seed in one season, it's a big jump. I think it's more likely they could be a top 5 seed, but the goal in my mind is to be a top 6. There's going to be a time where the team struggles. It's inevitable. Every team goes through it. The good news is right now the team is already 5 games above 500, and a game coming up on Saturday in Orlando. Then they've got New Orleans, without Zion. You want to keep on taking care of each game as you can. So I wouldn't look so far towards the playoffs yet. And is it going to be a top 4 seed? Just keep on winning. And if you keep on winning, if you take 2 of 3, or if you take 3 of 4, then you're going to be in a really good position when the season comes to an end.
Okay. David DC here with the comment, longtime supporter of the channel. Great to hear about the Wizards. Guys, you're getting me to watch the next game. I mean, we talked about this. Like a lot of people are very much excited about this Wizards team. And on that point, there was a question from earlier, if I can pull it up here, about whether we should Wizards fans should be hyped or cautiously optimistic about the team. I mean, what is the state of the Washington Wizards right now, and how should the fans sort of see them in their current state, but also in the future?
To me, I'd be hyped. I mean, why not, right? You're basically the underdog. Nobody expected anything of you. And here you are 11 games into the season, and you're tied for first in the Eastern Conference. Why would you not be excited about that? Do you think it's fool's gold? Look, do I expect this team to be the first place team come April 15th? No. But can they be in a playoff team? Heck yeah. And do you want to get behind that and watch playoff basketball at Capital One Arena? I sure as heck hope you do. And I hope you want to do that wearing a Wizards jersey. Get in there, make noise, make this team know that you care about them, that you love them. Jump on the bandwagon. It's not full yet. I promise you, it's not full. And we want people watching the games. We want people talking about the team. We want people coming to the games. And it's a really fun team to watch. I'll tell you guys, I talk to my parents every night after the games. They watch every one of the games, and they never cared about the Wizards. I grew up outside of New York. My parents grew up in New York, so they were Knicks fans. And my dad said to me, he's like, I'm 72 years old, and I can't believe I love a new team this much. And they're hooked. He's like, the first thing I go to every morning is basketball news. It's Wizards news. It's not reading about the Yankees or baseball, which has always been what we've done as a family. It's actually going to read up about the Wizards. And I just think people have missed the opportunity the last couple of years with this team. 2 years ago, with no expectations, it was a fun team. Last year, there were expectations. I think people got discouraged because of the start, both the first half and the second half. But then you end the season on a 17-6 record. Russell Westbrook breaks the all-time triple-double record. I mean, not watching it, you missed out on history. And now, I think for the first time in a lot of years, you guys can speak to it better than I can. You've got a team here in DC on the basketball court that you can really cheer for and fall in love with.
I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, like, I think it was like earlier this week, if not like last week, about all of us for the DMV Sports Zone family of hosts on this channel, like coming together when we're back in town or in winter break or something and watching a game at Capital One Arena, because we love our Wizards, and right now they're showing that love back. The last question we want to ask that we have here in the chat, we do not want to keep you over, is from Muhammad Naeem right here. We talked about Bradley Beal a little bit earlier, but his contract situation, what are your thoughts on that? And do you see him potentially leaving anytime soon, or do you see him being that sort of Damian Lillard type of guy and just wanting to stay with the team that drafted him?
Honestly, I think Brad's staying. There's no reason for Brad to sign a contract right now. The extension makes zero sense, right? If you sign the extension right now, you're leaving $40+ million on the table. I don't care who you are. Not many people leave $40 million plus on the table. So I think that Beal, first of all, Bradley Beal is one of my two favorite athletes to ever interview. It's Beal and Aaron Rodgers. And the reason, and I know it's sticky because of what's happened with Rodgers recently. But what I always loved about interviewing Aaron is that he thought about his answers. He didn't give you cookie cutter answers. And that's the same thing with Brad. He's real. And he thinks about what he's saying before he says it. I think Brad looks at this situation, and I think we had talked about it on the air, but the biggest adjustment this year by any player was going to come from Bradley Beal. If this team was going to succeed, it was going to be Brad having to actually realize, as I said before, that less is more. And I've said before that Michael Jordan never won a championship. Doug Collins was his coach. MJ led the NBA in scoring, would average 35 a game. Now Phil Jackson came in and told Michael, hey, I don't need you scoring 35 a game. And MJ is like, what? Like, I like every play being run for me. Then he realized, oh, okay. If I can average 30 a game or 28 a game and my teammates are doing this, now we can win. And then he wins 6 championships. So as long as the ball can move and this team plays as a team, I think this team is legit. And I believe that Bradley Beal will sign with the Wizards. He will re-sign with them. And he will have virtually every record when it's all said and done in Wizards Bullets franchise history. And it's kind of fitting that it'll be the 2 names you think about for franchise history will be number 3 and number 41. And number 3 will have been coached by 41's son. I think it's pretty cool.
Definitely agree on that one. That's a great note to end on. We're gonna have like a post interview reaction, Abdul and I. But for our time here, Dustin, thank you so much for joining. Abdul, thank you so much for initiating like the contact too. I don't know if you want to speak first.
Yeah, I'm surprised you answered my DM, Justin. I've been watching you for so long. Honestly, like, look up to you all the time. Thanks again for taking your time out of your day to do this, man.
No, thank you guys. Look, I know what it's like to be where you guys are, and I've never forgotten it. So whenever I can help out, I love to. I love talking about sports, love talking about the Wizards, and I'm just happy to do it. I appreciate you guys asking me. I appreciate you guys watching. Keep it up. This team's going to be a lot of fun.
Looking forward to it. But yeah, with that being said, Justin, if you want to, you can leave the studio, and then we're just gonna have like a post interview reaction.
Awesome.
But thank you so much, Justin.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks to all the questions too. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
How cool was that?
I was starstruck. Man,
that was fire. That was fire.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you guys, everybody in the chat. I mean, we had a bunch of questions today. I didn't even get to on the Warpaths questions at the end. Sorry about that, bro. But yeah, I mean, I was so close to putting this up there because I saw it at the very last second. Shot taker, shot dodger, good balance. When referencing Aaron Rodgers and Bradley Beal. Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for the lively chat tonight, the questions, and Abdullah, thank you again so much for initiating the contact.
Yeah. Of course, man. This all for the DMV sports family, man. It's just we're only going up from here.
For sure. What else? Looking through the comments. Yeah, I mean, right now I've been like thinking about this for a while now. I think the Wizards are the best team in DC right now. I don't think that's a hot take, but like that's just something that blows your mind when you think of like the Wizards, the Washington Wizards, even over the Caps, even over the Nats. Well, the Nats, of course, they tanked this year, but the Nats, the Caps, obviously the Washington football team, like the Washington Wizards are the best team right now in DC. So we got to rep them. I'm sorry that I didn't put this on until like right before.
I just like really when you told me, I'm like, the only Wizards merch I have is a shirt. I need to get more Wizards merchandise.
Yeah, and like my hat, my dad has it, and it's like back home. So like I couldn't wear it. So wanted to rep like one of the teams, and they're not being a watched football team. But no, I'm looking forward to. I know we talked about this off camera, but potentially going to a game, all of us, and really enjoying the atmosphere. It's crazy to me. I know we talked about this off camera, but all three NBA teams that I'm associated with are absolutely great right now. Like this has never happened in my entire life. You got Chicago Bulls out here in Chicago, right? And the city's a buzz right now. They're tied with Washington Wizards, of course, right? Hometown team, first place in the Eastern Conference. And then the Cavs, one of the teams that like I grew up loving. I'm not gonna lie, largely because of LeBron. I mean, we beat them, of course. The Washington Wizards beat them, but like they're also still pretty good, and we saw that yesterday. We saw. I believe you watched it. I watched the game. Like that was a very close game all the way to the very end. Obviously Bradley Beal hit a.
I'm telling you, sorry. If that was Scott Brooks' team from last year, we wouldn't have won that game. When Justin said he could, when Justin said that he knows how to make Wes Unseld Jr. knows how to make game adjustments, I just knew it from the spot that something that Scott Brooks lacked.
We could have Coach of the Year and an Executive of the Year if they keep things going. Like
and six man and all these awards.
All these awards. I mean, who knows? Harrell was like I think 5th or 6th in the MVP odds, which is absolutely absurd.
Bro, literally anytime he's under the basket, it's just a dunk. He's 6'7", which is insane.
Crazy. He plays big, bro. He's like a right now he's a better version of Draymond, but like when Draymond was in his prime, he's pretty much like that. Although they play a little bit different, of course. Harrell doesn't. I feel like Draymond was a better passer. I might be.
I agree. Yeah.
At least back then.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, so 3-time Super Bowl champ Skins. That's not the no is not for you, Johnny, because we always appreciate your support.
Of course.
Yes, we agree with this. Boycott Dan Snyder. I hope you got to see or will see on the rewind our interview with Justin Kutcher. It was really, really good. Dula, shout out once again to him for getting it all set up. I appreciate if I was like hogging the questions or anything. I just feel like sometimes, if he says something that we feel like we have a counter to, I feel like we got to ask him. Like whether
I completely agree.
Evan, Noah, it doesn't really matter. But but I mean,
I was starstruck, man.
Yeah.
No, it's just insane. Like as a kid, you just watch these people and just talk with them. It's just like it's amazing, honestly. It's something that you dream of as a kid or even as a sports fan.
Yeah. And I know like you're younger, so like I completely get where you're coming from on this. Yeah. For me, I would feel this. I mean, I was obviously starstruck, right? But like, the Wizards play-by-play announcers for me, like growing up, were like Buck Hands.
Steve. I miss Steve so much. I love Justin, but Steve was the man.
Yeah.
Man.
No, but Justin's holding his own though. I think we can't sell him we can't discredit him. Like he's been for absolute fabulous job, and like he even said like he's not from the area, but I mean he definitely embraced the area. The area embraces him back, and we love his work for DC. We love his work for the Washington Wizards covering this team, and really it's fun to see the resurgence of this Washington Wizards team like overlapping with Justin's like time here in DC, right? Like for Buckhands, like we had like a mix of bad days, good days. For Justin Kutcher, really like the beginning of his time here in DC, it was all bad, but now it's starting to
get up there. No, completely agree with you. Yeah.
On the warpath, Corey. Appreciate you, bro. Great work, fellas. Y'all did a bang up job. Appreciate that. We wanted to make this live too, so you guys could ask questions, and I feel like it's just more interactive, more fun that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Aaron Rodgers is smart. Being a contrarian does not make you smart. So is Tom Brady. Well, yes, Tom Brady got the vaccine. So I guess if that's sort of like the link there, then yes. What else? No, but the one point that I'm still hung up on. Because I don't know if I necessarily agree that Justin brought up. Was that the Wizards could be like the Bucks or the Raptors in the sense that you have a superstar. You don't have multiple superstars. You have one superstar. You have a bunch of like stars to role players that help lead you to a championship. In my opinion, Bradley Beal I'm going to say this. I've been believing this for years now, and I think there are fans out there who believe this as well. Bradley Beal, in my opinion, is not the superstar, the Alpha 1A, Alpha 1 superstar that's going to win you a championship. He might take you to the finals, right? If he has a bunch of great players like he does this year, just like Jimmy Butler did with the Heat. But Jimmy Butler on the Heat was not going to win the championship against LeBron, Anthony Davis, and co. Right? Like, I think there's a ceiling. There's a definite ceiling for Bradley Beal, and the ceiling is not with him being the guy, right? The number one guy. And the ceiling is not, I see the donation. The ceiling is not, winning a championship, right? So that's where I was coming from. That's what a point that I did not necessarily agree with Justin on. I think the Wizards need to add another star to this roster, just because Bradley Beal, again, he's not, in my opinion, he's not a top 5 player. I wouldn't even say he's a top 7 player. He might be a fringe top 10 player, but I don't think that's enough in today's NBA.
Yeah. I think this team, it reminds me of the OKC team with Chris Paul with that first year. They were like the 6th seed in the West. Everyone thought they were going to be tanking. Thank you, Dave and DC. Man, another donation. Thank you, Dave. You're the man. Let's give yeah. But going back, I just think that, championship, not really there, but just playing in the playoffs when everyone thought, when I made the preview video, I said the ceiling was playing. And now it's looking like 5th, 4th seed, and then we had another guy on here that said they haven't been a legit team, and he eventually ate crow for that. So
the Cavs were a legit team.
No, I know
but the Cavs weren't in the previous years, but they're a legit team. I mean, who else? We beat
the Celtics.
I was just about to say the Celtics.
Yes,
good team.
Twice
too. Yes,
the Bucks.
They're
short-handed, but it's still the Bucks.
But the Bucks, of course, they're still going to be very good by the end of the season. So no, I definitely don't think you can. I don't think you can really attack what the Wizards start to the season. I think they've been an all-around great team, no agenda team, right? They love playing with one another, which is awesome to see. Even though Bradley Beal is technically the alpha of this team, Marcus Harrell is not afraid to talk. He's never afraid to talk. He's not afraid to talk on this team. Kyle Kuzma, a guy that I'm still not necessarily sold on as a.
Oh my!
Hold on. Listen. I wasn't gonna say I'm not sold on him as an NBA player, a solid NBA player. He's of course a solid NBA player. I'm saying in terms of a reliable piece every single game, I'm not sold on him there. I'm sorry, I'm just not. He even this season, he's had some games and then some spectacular games like last night, which he was clutch. He made that clutch 3, and kudos to him. But consistency has always been his biggest issue. Even he's averaging, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's averaging about where he averaged his first 2 years in the league, right? Where he was like the top. He was an untouchable, like Justin said, and then things started to tail off. Once LeBron came into town, because obviously they brought in other pieces and just stuff like that. Stuff happens and stuff. But he's rebounding to where he was at the beginning of his career, right? When he was playing the best in the NBA, or playing his best in the NBA. And even then, he wasn't super consistent. He'll give you the big games, bro. He'll give you the star level games, 30 points, 35 points. The next game he'll give you 5-6 points.
I think it was just the bright lights in LA. Everyone expected him to be that next all-star.
What about this season, bro? Let me read you his stats.
It's pretty.
He had 22 points last night. Right, great. Okay, 15 points the night before, 13 the night before, 2 against the Raptors.
Yeah, that was.
And then he had 18, 17, 21, then 12, and 6, and 26. So he's been a little bit more consistent this year, I'm not going to lie. But he's still only averaging 14.8 points a game, 9 rebounds, which is great. He's definitely a starter. He's a lockdown starter, in my opinion, at the 3, right? He's a lockdown starter. You can't really blame him for anything in terms of him being a starter. But in terms of him carrying us over the top and potentially buying for a championship, I think you just need a little bit more consistency, right? And this is also over 11 games, right? We have an 82 game season. So if you take some of these dud games, they could, rack up over time. But I think he's been a great piece. He definitely improved from his year last year with the Lakers, where he only averaged 12.9 points. And he's shooting better. 3-point percentage is 39% this year. which, if I'm not mistaken, is a high so far in his career. So I like what Kuzma has brought to the table. And I think he's definitely rebounded off of a tough year last year. But again, like right now, you guys might be like, what are you talking about? But I just want to see more consistency over him.
No, I agree.
With him over the course of an 82-game season. It's just my thing with Kuzma.
And the crazy thing is, last night Brad was 4-19 from the field. Spencer, our second option, wasn't really that much aggressive. And when we needed someone to step up, it was Kuz. So, like, going back to what Justin said, this team has depth. You can go around. That guy can make that shot, defend. It's great. Last year, that Wizards, if Brad went 4-19, we would have lost by like 30 or maybe like 25. That's straight up. And now you have depth. You have Montrezl Harrell, KCP, Kyle Kuzma,
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been a great. He's clutch, bro. He even said himself, which I don't know if I'm comfortable with. Like, I get, players need to be confident in themselves. I'm just saying, if I was that kind of player, if I was like the top of the world, I would still not be one of those people who would praise like myself or anything. That's just that's the way I am and stuff. But anyways, he talked about it himself. He's one of the most clutch players in the NBA. If you take out what he last season, his injury brittle season, right, ACL injury. If you take out that, he's been a clutch player his entire career, and I mean, we've seen that this year, right? Like, I feel like Bradley Beal can be clutch, but I feel like Dinwiddie has like a special level of clutchness that I think would be very useful as the season goes along. We need somebody on the Wizards that can actually hit triple. I hope this is sarcasm. Because we definitely don't.
Stats. I don't care about stats.
yeah, we definitely know this team is just gelling. Sometimes you don't need. We saw this with the Nats, right? Different league, right? Different sport, but still, sometimes players just gel with one another, and the team just outperforms expectations because of that team chemistry, right? Like, team chemistry is a super underrated aspect of team success, and I think the Wizards could really go very far this year because their unit is so close. We saw that even second half of last year, right, when the Wizards, as Justin said, went on that win streak and started to rack up wins after that tough first half, and we saw that chemistry really forming. But this year, it's like a whole another level of chemistry, in my opinion. Getting someone at the trade deadline, I'm all for that. I think even Justin was. He talked about all these pieces that we have, a Thomas Bryant, a Davis Bertans, so on and so forth that we could potentially trade away.
We didn't talk about Danny Avdija. I'm surprised that his defensive side of the ball has been amazing. A top defender. But going back to the trade, so I saw on social media the Celtics might split up Brown and Tatum. Would you fire the trigger for Jaylen Brown? Yes. They're not trading Tatum.
No, Jason Tatum.
I don't think this how
St. Louis boys, bro. Brad Beal and Jason.
I know,
Tatum.
but like just like being realistic, as you say, I don't think they trade Tatum. There's no way.
Okay, that's true. I liked how you brought that around. That's true. But yeah, if one of those two guys are, yes, I mean, in my opinion, that would solidify our starting five or team, really. Like, if you have a bona fide, like, fringe star alongside another, or a bona fide fringe superstar along another fringe superstar, in my opinion, Bradley Beal. Like, you have those two guys. You have Kyle Kuzma. You have Daniel Gafford, who we didn't even talk about him.
Yes,
this man has been one of the best trade acquisitions for the Washington Wizards.
He did get dunked on twice last night. He got dunked on twice last night.
He did.
But he still bounced back. He's still Daniel Gafford, and he's the man.
Yeah. But in terms of the value that he's brought as a guy that was, those acquisitions that the Washington football team makes, and we don't really care about the acquisitions because we're like, they're nobodies. Like, I mean, like, as fans, we don't care, right? Like, it's just depth guys and stuff. I feel like the Wizards did that. But that depth guy turned into a very solid starter, a guy that you just paid a bunch of money to, Daniel Gafford. So,
I remember it was Troy Brown and Mo Wagner for Chandler Hutchinson and
both of those.
Daniel Gafford. And I didn't even know who Daniel Gafford was. I'm gonna be honest. He just came in the first game against Zion where he blocked him like twice. I was like, "Yo, this cat is good, man."
Yeah,
I can't wait to see how he does progressing the season. But no, going back to what he said, I think we're gonna trade Thomas Bryant when he comes back. I don't know what we're gonna get, but I think they will trade him.
I feel like he might play a couple games and then we'll trade him.
Yeah,
Hopefully he
probably get
comes
his
back
trade value.
before. Yeah, hopefully he comes back before the trade deadline. So we at least other teams get to see him on the court first and then trade for him.
This is kind of off topic. Going to the Sacramento Kings, you know Marvin Bagley, right? Yeah. So I don't understand the organization's approach on this. You want to trade the guy, but you're not playing him. It just doesn't make any sense. And going back to Thomas Bryant, yes, we play Thomas Bryant, but if you bench your player, don't give him any minutes and expect his trade value. I just don't get it. I don't know if you saw that.
Fair, the difference though is Thomas Bryant's coming off a season-ending injury, right? Like I think teams need to see him on the court first before knowing what they have in the commodity and the trade asset that is like Thomas Bryant. Marvin Bagley, he's been healthy, I believe, and like last year, I think he had like 12, 13 points he averaged over the course of the season, or he like you don't need him on the court to show teams what you have in Marvin Bagley on November 11th, 2021. For Thomas Bryant, it's the complete opposite because he is coming off a catastrophic like leg injury, right? And like the end of the season that didn't allow him to play a lot of games last year and is, producing this break in play. So I feel like teams need to see what he brings to the table again before ultimately trading for him. Also, Marvin Bagley has the draft status as well, being the second overall pick.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it from that point of view.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, bro. Second overall pick in the entire NBA draft, and you screw up like that. In a situation screwed up like that, like that's just.
Bro, Harrison Barnes. I mean, let's talk about the NBA. Harrison Barnes has been balling for the Kings. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know if that's saving their butts.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I this Wizards team, man, we dedicated a whole show to the Washington Wizards. We didn't talk one bit about the Washington football team on the show, even though they do have a game coming up on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But and also speaking of, either Abdullah or Evan should have the post-game reaction to that, guys.
Of course,
just letting you know now. But I guess we can just end off with a question about the team. Like, what are your thoughts on the game on Sunday? Who do you think will win? I believe you'll have a pre-game tomorrow. So maybe you don't even have to go into like who you think is going to win specifically. But what are your thoughts on the game overall? And looking ahead to Sunday.
I don't even know what to say, man. I just really hope it's a close game, Naughty. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I don't know what to say, man. This team, we didn't make a video about this. We have a new kicker. Chris Blue is not on the team anymore. What's his name? Joey Sly?
Yeah, Joey Sly, another former Carolina Panther.
Oh man.
Although we did not sign Cam Newton, who's another Carolina Panther, former Carolina Panther, who's now a current Carolina Panther. No, I agree with you. I just hope it's close. Hope it's not a blowout. Maybe we could pull out the W. But yeah, this one, I just want to see progress from the team.
Yeah, but I just want to see people who are gonna like play their heart out. If we don't play as a team, then every game on Sunday, what are we watching then? It's annoying. Man.
Right after we talked about, we just want to see progress from the team. 3-time Super Bowl champions. Keeps it honest. And gives us his realistic score prediction. Dave and DC, nice break from a Washington football team. They're exhausting to think about sometimes. Yeah, I enjoyed my bye week. I don't know about you, Bill.
Yes, yes, very much.
Yeah.
Especially when the Cowboys lost. The Cowboys, oh my goodness,
that just made it even better. That just made it even better. It's the Denver Broncos, right? That just made it even better.
Yep. Sure.
But yeah, so hopefully they keep the game close on Sunday. We'll see. Oh, I will end off on this one. What are your thoughts on Chase Young's comments from today?
He said, "What did he?" I heard. I didn't see it quite.
There was a reporter who asked him, basically something along the lines of, like, do you believe what you did in the off season? Participating in photo shoots, doing commercials, interrupted like your off season programming or off season crap work and ultimately turn into or cause, the start of the season to start off so slow and stuff. And he was like, you know what, I was just getting my money, like, baby, in the summer. Like that's pretty much like what he said. Like, and then he talked about like how, basically something along the lines of like, they're doubters now about me right now, but like, let's see if those doubters show up down the line. What are your thoughts on Chase Young's comments?
Honestly, man, Montez is out. Chase, if there's any time where we need you to show up, it's now, buddy. We picked you second overall. I still believe in him. He's going through a sophomore slump, but now that Montez is out, all the attention will be on him even more. So we'll see. I mean, the comments, it is what it is. You talk a lot. Last year, we all know he wanted Brady after the Eagles game, and we saw how that turned out. I got so much backlash for that, but or he'd rather. But just go out there and ball, man. I would love to see a strip sack on Tom Brady, man. That would be nice.
You get paid to sack the quarterback. He has 1.5 sacks through 8 games. He's been a disappointment to say the least this season.
Yeah.
I don't care about the pressures. When you're a number 2 overall generational talent pass rusher, number 2 overall pick in the entire NFL draft, you need to not just generate pressures but sack the quarterback. And he better hopefully he turns it around this season and starts racking up the sacks and at least finishes off strong. I think it's a lost season regardless, but yeah. Hopefully he finishes off strong. And we have something to talk about, right? Like a stud defensive end that we talked about throughout the offseason. I'm not going this far 3-time Super Bowl champ Skins and trading him away.
Oh, no.
Why would you trade an asset like that at his lowest point? I'm sorry, bro, but that makes no sense to me. But yeah, like hopefully Chase Young, like you said, could step up. Montez Sweat down with the jaw injury, broken jaw. But that's about it, guys, for this edition of Wizards Basketball Weekly. I feel like we should get something together, like with the Wizards, something. I don't know if it's a weekly thing or I know Evan does his like 5 to 10 minute like recap of DMV Sports or preview of DMV Sports for the week. But I feel like we got to get some more Wizards content on here because they definitely deserve it. They're the best team in DC, so we're gonna rep them strong. We're gonna have interviews like this. We're gonna have our thoughts on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. Everybody in the chat, we enjoyed it. I think it was a great idea by both of us to make this live. Got to ask your questions. So with that being said, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to DMV Sports Zone channel. We'll try to post fire content in here as much as possible. Get us to 2K subs. Also, go like, follow, tweet at our Twitter page at DMV Sports Zone and Instagram page, all lowercase DMV Sports Zone. Love to post fire content on there as much as possible as well. And Abdullah, what are your final thoughts before we sign off?
Don't get blown out on Sunday. Dan, sell the team. I love Bradley Beal.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Bradley, we didn't talk about this, but prayers out to the Bradley Beal family for the loss of his grandmother. Yeah, it's a tough loss. And yeah, just prayers out to him. I know that was on his mind the entire game yesterday. So hopefully he just pulls through this and his family pulls through this, and we'll keep them in our prayers. But again, thank you guys so much for watching and have a great rest of your Thursday night. And I think Abdullah will see you guys tomorrow with a preview for the game. Peace.
Peace. Ooh.